Hello everyone, let's dive into the preamble of the Constitution. The American Constitution was the first to begin with a preamble. Many countries, including India, followed this practice. The term preamble, which means prastavna, refers to the introduction or preface to the Constitution. It contains the summary or essence of the Constitution. N. A. Palkhiwala, an eminent jurist and constitutional expert, called the preamble as the identity card of the Constitution. Our preamble is heavily based on Objectives Resolution drafted and moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and was adopted by the Constituent Assembly. It has been amended only once for the addition of the word socialist, secular and integrity by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. What does the preamble of India says? It says, we, the people of India. That means our constitution derives its authority from the people of India. Having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, which means Samprabhuta, socialist, which means Samajwadi, secular, which means Dharma Nirpekshta, democratic, which means Loktantriya, republic, which means Ganatantra, and to secure to all its citizens. Here, one may notice that these 5 words are not separated by any punctuation marks, which means these words are adjectives to each other. That is, sovereign, a sovereign state which is socialist, a sovereign socialist state which is secular, sovereign socialist secular state which is democratic, and sovereign socialist secular democratic state which is republic, and to ensure to all its citizens justice, which means nyay. And our constitution embraces justice in 3 forms: social, economic and political. Liberty, which means swatantrata of thoughts, expression, belief, faith and worship. Equality, which means samanta of status and of opportunity and to promote them among them all. Fraternity, which means bhaichara, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. Sovereign. The word sovereign means Samprabhuta, means having the highest possible authority. The word sovereign implies that India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation, but an independent state. There is no authority above it and it is free to conduct its own affair, both internal and external. Though in 1949 India declared the continuation of her full membership of the Commonwealth of Nations and accepted the British Crown as the head of the Commonwealth. And also India took the membership of UNO, and this too in no way affects India's sovereignty in any manner. Being a sovereign state, India can either acquire a foreign territory or cede a part of its territory in favor of a foreign state. Next comes the word socialist. Even before the term was added by the 42nd Amendment Act in 1976, the Constitution had a socialist content in the form of certain DPSPs. In other words, what was implicit has been made explicit by the addition of the word. Moreover, the Congress party itself adopted a resolution to establish a socialistic pattern of society in its Abadi session as early as in 1955. It took almost 70 years to adopt this resolution. Notably, the Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism and not a communistic socialism, which involves the nationalization of all means of production and distribution and the abolition of private property. Democratic socialism, on the other hand, holds faith in a mixed economy where both public and private sectors coexist side by side. As the Supreme Court says, democratic socialism aims to end poverty, ignorance, disease, and inequality of opportunity. Indian socialism is a blend of Marxism and Gandhism, where Gandhism is far more valued than Marxism. The new economic policy of 1991 of LPG, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization, has however diluted the socialistic credentials of the Indian state. Next comes the word secular. The articles related to secularism are mentioned in the article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution embodies the positive concept of secularism, that is, all religions in our country have the same status and support from the state irrespective of their strength. Next comes the word democratic, which is loktantriya. Basically, there are two forms of democracy, that is direct and indirect. In indirect democracy, the people exercise their power, supreme power, directly. As in the case in Switzerland, there are four devices of direct democracy, that is referendum, initiative, recall and plebiscite. In indirect democracy, on the other hand, the representatives elected by the people exercise the supreme power and thus carry on the government and make the laws. This type of democracy is also known as representative democracy, and it is of two types, parliamentary and presidential. The Indian Constitution provides for representative parliamentary democracy, under which the executive is responsible to the legislature for all its policies and actions. Universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, and absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestations of the democratic character of the Indian polity. The term democratic is used in the preamble in the broader sense, embracing not only political democracy but also social and economic democracy. This dimension was stressed by Dr. Ambedkar in his concluding speech in the Constituent Assembly on November 25, 1949 in the following way. Political democracy cannot last until there lies at the base of it social democracy. What does social democracy mean? It means a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality and fraternity. The principles of liberty, equality and fraternity are not to be treated as separate items in a trinity. They form a union of trinity in the sense that to divorce one form from the other is to defeat the very purpose of democracy. Liberty cannot be divorced from equality, fraternity and cannot be divorced from liberty. Nor can liberty and equality be divorced from fraternity. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Equality without liberty would kill the individual initiative. In the same context, the Supreme Court observed in 1997 that the Constitution envisions to establish an egalitarian social order, rendering to every citizen social, economic and political justice in a social and economic democracy of the Bharat Republic. The democratic polity can be divided into two categories, monarchy and republic. In a monarchy, the head of the state enjoys a hereditary position. That is, he comes into office through succession. Example, Britain. In a republic, on the other hand, the head of the state is always elected directly or indirectly for a fixed period. Example, USA. Therefore, the term republic in our preamble indicates that India has an elected head called the president. He is elected indirectly for a fixed period of 5 years. A republic also means two more things. One, vesting of political sovereignty in the people and not in a single individual like a king. Second, the absence of any privileged class, hence all public offices being open to every citizen without any discrimination. Next is justice. Our preamble embraces three distinct forms, social, economic and political, secured through provisions of fundamental rights and directive principles. Social justice denotes the equal treatment of all citizens without any social distinction based on caste, color, race, religion, sex and so on. It means absence of privileges being extended to any particular section of the society and improvement in the conditions of backward classes, SCs, STs and OBCs and women. Economic justice denotes non-discrimination between people on the basis of economic factors. It involves the elimination of glaring inequalities in wealth, income, and property. A combination of social justice and economic justice denotes what is known as distributive justice. Political justice implies that all citizens should have equal political rights, equal access to all political offices, and equal voice in the government. The ideal of justice, social, economic, and political, has been taken from the Russian Revolution 1917. Next comes liberty. The term liberty means swatantrata, which means the absence of any restraints on the activities of individuals and at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personalities. The preamble secures to all citizens of India liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship through their fundamental rights enforceable in the court of law in case of violation. Liberty is elaborated in the preamble is very essential for the successful functioning of the Indian democratic system. However, liberty does not mean license to do what one likes and has to be enjoyed with the limitations mentioned in the Constitution itself. In brief, the liberty conceived by the preamble or fundamental rights is not absolute but qualified. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity in our preamble has been taken from French Revolution 1789 to 1799. Next comes equality, which means samanta, which means the absence of special privileges to any section of the society and provisions of adequate opportunities for all individuals without any discrimination. The preamble secures to all citizens of India equality of status and opportunity. The provision embraces three forms of equality: civic, political, and economic. The following provisions of the chapter on fundamental rights ensure civic equality, that is from Article 14 to Article 18. There are two provisions of the Constitution that seek to achieve political equality. 1. No person is to be declared ineligible for inclusion in electoral rolls on grounds of religion, race, caste, or sex. That is Article 325, and Article 326 says election to the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies to be on the basis of adult suffrage. Article 39 says DPSP says it secures to men and women equal rights to an adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work. Fraternity, which means bhaichara. The Constitution promotes this feeling of fraternity by the system of single citizenship. Also, fundamental duties. Article 51A says that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, regional, or sectional diversities. The preamble declares that fraternity has to assure two things: the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation.